Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. This video is a continuation of the unboxing that I did of my new Louis Vuitton Alma PM in 30 centimeter. This is my first instructional like type of tips kind of thing that you could use, or really what I did cleaning my bag that some of you might take a few things away from. So I'll try not to make this video too long. I just want to get right to it and to show you what I did to try to get this bag all cleaned up and spruced up for me to start carrying. But first things first, in my last video I mentioned that I wanted to make sure this bag is authentic. So that's the first thing I had to do before I started cleaning this up. And I inspected the bag very well because I bought it on eBay from a Japanese seller, Apple Project Boutique, and they have a really high percentage of being reliable, a good seller, and they have a return policy. So that helped me with my purchase, and just looking everything over and comparing their description. I wanted to make sure this bag is what they said, and if not, I was going to return it. So good things, first things first, I'm glad this is authentic, had it authenticated by authentication company, and it really kind of like was a no-brainer, but there are so many knockoffs out there that are really close to the real thing. I just really wanted to be careful, because thinking that I have the real thing and I don't, down the line, that would like really break my heart. But this bag is 20 years old. The date code is VI0957, so that's May 1997. The bag was very clean when I opened up the box, and you can see in the video. And when I got to handling the bag, the first thing that I noticed was how shiny this vachetta is. And you can see the little shine, after the reflection of the light. I'm not familiar with the Alma bag, but, so I don't know if it's because of so much vachetta on the base. Is it sealed, with some type of a coating to keep it protected? But a lot of these older ones have a lot of watermarks. So that means it's not protected, because vachetta is like it's untreated leather. It's like a naked leather. So if anything, water, dirt hits it, stain or whatever, that marking is going to be on there. So I wasn't too comfortable with that. But with the bag being 20 years old, whoever had this bag before me, they probably did what they wanted to do to make sure this bag would stay in tip-top condition. So I asked the seller about that, and they were unsure if this was, if the previous owner sealed it with anything, and they also thought that maybe it's because of the patina, the aging of the bag and the patina. Maybe the patina developed a gloss. Nah, okay. So anyway, that was fine with that. I'm like, okay. And then I noticed that these handles were squeaking. And I was like, squeaky handles? So that means when I carry this bag, everybody's going to hear me, walking down the hallway or walking in the store, like, what's wrong with her bag? So I was like, let me ask them about that, because that's not in the description. And they said it's most likely tarnish. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to get rid of the tarnish? So, okay. So anyway, first things first, the first thing I did was I cleaned off the canvas with the baby wipe. And I'm sure you guys heard this a lot. Baby wipes can clean a lot of things. Here are some Huggies. Got these from Dollar Tree. They were $1. And I wanted to make sure they didn't have alcohol in them. So I read, the label on the back to be sure, because I don't want to ruin anything. And the baby wipe was pitch black when I, got to going with this all over. And I was like, woo, this is dirty. But I'm excited because I'm cleaning it up for my use. And then I tried it on the vachetta just a little bit to get, to get it dampened a little bit so I can get to going on the vachetta. And that was dirty as well. So I was like, ooh, well, this bag, sat for some time. And then I found out by researching online, and I saw some YouTube videos, here's this magic eraser. And I was like, I've heard some good and bad about it, that it doesn't work and that it does work. And I heard more that it doesn't work, but I wanted to give it a try. So I just cut off a little piece, got it damp. And once I got on the handles and everything, to me, from what I could tell, it turned black. Like, oh wow, like this is really dirty, but the handles didn't look dirty, but something's coming off. And then when I got to the base of the bag, oh my gosh, that eraser was pitch black. It was so dirty. I was like, this bag was filthy. So I did that for it. The first day I did that, let it dry. Then the next couple of days later, I tried the magic eraser again because I wanted to see how much more dirt. Most likely concentrating on this watermark because it's so ugly. I mean, there's watermarks everywhere else, but it's not as bad. Like, I can tolerate that. But this right here, oh my God, that's so visible. I was like, ooh, that's not a good look, you know. And the next time around when I used the magic eraser, it ended up being like a little bit more orangey. So I was like, oh, I'm probably scuffing away the vachetta. So I stopped using it immediately. So I was like, whoops, I'm going to be good with, I mean, I'm glad that the first part was like pitch black dirt, but it's like the second time around, I'm going to be careful because I don't want to ruin anything. And even though this is sealed, this still got wet. The water still penetrated. I got it dirty. So, I mean, I don't know what this is. And maybe this sealant is wearing away, but I still was able to get through to some part of the vachetta to get it cleaned up. So, I mean, I don't know. Okay, so there's that. So then I let the leather dry for about 3 hours, and I used what they probably don't make anymore. It's probably discontinued. Kiwi, the brand exists, but this is Kiwi leather lotion. I've had this for about 7 or 8 years. When I first started collecting Louis Vuitton pieces, the sales associate in Louis Vuitton actually suggested this to condition the leather, and I've had it since. And I've had it for so long, because a little goes a long way, that I have not needed to like buy anymore. But I decided to go looking for some more to have it on hand, and I can't find this particular product, so it might be discontinued. So I'm like, whoops, I'm gonna have to figure something out because it works very well. So while it was still damp after like 3 hours of air dry, I just liberally used the lotion all over it, and it just like started really shining up and really conditioning because the handles were kind of dry looking when I got it wet, and I used the magic eraser on it, and it's like, oh, I want to be careful with that because I don't want to cause any cracking, and I don't want to ruin anything. So I just slathered on the leather conditioner right away on all the pieces and let that penetrate, and I only did that one time. And also what I did was I used 100% cotton white t-shirt to do it with. Okay, yeah, I used that, okay. And then following up with the canvas portion, I found some tips that said Armor All protectant spray can work. So I tried that. So I sprayed some on a cotton t-shirt, and it started to shine up, you know what I'm saying? It looked like it was oily, but as I was wiping it away and just like really working it in and, you know, I guess you want to say moisturizing the canvas and really getting it to be a lot softer actually than what it was, because this bag was like really hard. I was like, ew, what's wrong with this bag, you know? And it actually softened up some as I got to really working with it. And, you know, I want to make sure I want to extend the life of this bag. I don't want the canvas to crack, so I want to keep it protected. So I didn't spray it directly on the canvas. I just, you know, sprayed on the t-shirt and wiped it, you know. And what I also thought about, I was like, well, this is kind of like an oil type base, and this is tarnishing. You know, what do you do for squeaky things? You would use WD-40, right? But I was like, I'm not spraying that stinky stuff, and that's probably like full of I don't know how many chemicals. I was like, I don't want to ruin my bag, but what something of oil could I use that might work on this? And I was like, if I'm using Armor All, let's put some Armor All where I'm thinking the squeaky sound is coming from, and it sounds like it was coming from in between here. So I got creative. I sprayed Armor All on a toothpick, and I fitted in every area that I could around where I'm thinking the squeaky sound is coming from, and each area of the handles, and it went away immediately. So it was just like immediate. So I was like, they were right. It was tarnishing. It just needed a little bit of lubrication of some sort. So Armor All worked for that. And to shine up the brass, the only part that was really dull was the studs that say Louis Vuitton right here. These, you know, I mean, around the handles and the zipper, they actually looked okay, but I used it anyway. I've heard about Brasso, But when I went looking for Brasso in the store, I decided to take a whiff of it to see what I was really getting into. It was too strong. It smelled too bad. I was like, smelled too bad. I was like, I can't deal with that, you know, because I don't know how long it was going to be to clean this bag, and I don't want to be inhaling and all that kind of stuff. And now that it's cold, I can't like be outside cleaning the bag, you know, to let everything air out. So it's like, I got to figure something else out. So I found out online, baking soda can clean brass. So many uses for baking soda. And the recipe I found was baking soda and lemon juice. But I always have lime juice on hand. So what it said to mix the two, that they so it looks like a paste and it foams at first. And once I got to be pasty, I used a cotton swab and I cleaned in all the areas where you see the brass. And the only thing that made a difference were the studs. The studs were filthy, dull, and immediately they started to shine. And I just took this t-shirt right here, damp it with some water. After I was done with that, I just hurried up and, you know, came from behind it to wipe away the residue so it wouldn't get on the vachetta. But that worked like a charm. I never thought baking soda can, you know, help clean brass. Amazing uses around here that you have in your own home that you can, like, you know, have a remedy for refurbishing some things and restoring items. And let's see, and I think I covered everything for the exterior. Now the interior is what I was worried about. When I mentioned in my last video, when I first got the bag, the description said that it had an old smell. Smells like old. And they weren't lying. It didn't turn my stomach, it just smelled like a basement. And I'm like, well, how am I going to get this situated? Because I want to put my items in here and start carrying this bag, like, you know, right away. And I don't want those items smelling like, you know, I don't want my wallet, my phone, you know, my cosmetic case, gum and stuff like that. I don't want that smelling like old basement, you know. So found a video online where a girl used blue coral upholstery cleaner, and she used it on a bag where the interior of her bag could like flip out. And so she was like cleaning it that way, and it was like a silkier, you know, material. And Louis Vuitton, it's, you know, it's not loose, and it's nothing that I can pull out. I'm not gonna be trying to pull out to ruin the bag, but I was like, how am I gonna like do that? So I followed the instructions, and I started with a little spot, you know, right away, and it looked like it wasn't, you know, taking away any color. And I just did section by section, spraying it in there, letting it sit for, I don't know, a few seconds, and took a damp cloth, like they said, and wiped it out. I felt confident that I cleaned something out, but the smell still didn't go away. For 2 days, until the upholstery, well, you know, until whatever until this has a smell, but it doesn't smell that bad. But for 2 days, the smell of this bag was upholstery cleaner and that old smell. And I actually made things worse. I'm like, I just ruined this bag. So I panicked and I got a fan, had the fan blow in this bag for, you know, a few hours at a time. And once the bag, the interior was dry, this smell totally lifted. It was gone. So that's what it was. It was because it was still damp, but the old smell was still there, and it didn't seem to have improved. So I'm like, what am I going to do now? So, you know, baking soda can get rid of odors. So what I did, I poured baking soda in a cup, and I sat it in my bag, had my bag zipped up, and I left it alone for like 3 or 4 days, you know, just so it could just soak up all the odors and get that out of there. And it didn't really help. So I'm just like, what am I going to do now? And then I remembered something I used to do a few years ago. This is not vinegar cleaner, but it's like a vinegar water mix. And I read that it can get rid of germs, and I don't think this bag has mold, but I think it can kill mold and things like that. It works like a disinfectant. So what I did was I poured about this much vinegar in here, and I diluted all of it with water because it's very vinegar. You know how vinegar smells very strong, and I don't want this bag smelling like vinegar. So I just did a little at a time, and I sprayed all in the bag, and then I took a damp white cloth and soaked up, you know, what was left, because I didn't want that vinegar, you know, to like really sit in there. And then and I kept it zipped up. And then for like a day or two, it smelled like vinegar. But it wasn't vinegar in the old smell, it was vinegar. So I was like, oh my gosh, I messed it up again. I got a vinegar smelling bag. So what I did was, I went to the fan again, used the fan as an option to air this out, hours at a time. It took some time. The vinegar smell started lifting, but it was like really taking its time. And this was after everything was dry. And I was like, okay, well, I probably killed some germs, I'm sure, but what am I going to do now? So I just thought about, let me take a damp cloth again, a little bit damper than usual, but not soaking wet. And let me just, touch on every area in there. Maybe there was some vinegar left. And when I did that, let it air dry for a couple of days, it smells so much better. The vinegar smell is like a slight hint of vinegar, but I can tell the old smell is finally starting to lift away. So maybe because this killed germs, it had to be some germs or whatever in here, spores or some, hopefully it's not mold or anything like really gross, that was really musty or whatever. It probably just like really held on to what was in there, and the vinegar was like, shh, I'm about to clean this out. So I'm feeling a little bit more positive now that this is getting really, really to the point where I needed to be. Because when I first messed it up, I called Louis Vuitton and asked them if I brought the bag in, could they assess it? And they're going to smell it like that. Could they assess it and just give me a new lining? They were like, oh yeah, we can do that. And I was like, how much is that going to be? So I just decided to still work on it. So it's still a work in progress, but it's so much better. So I don't think I'm going to spray any more vinegar in there. I'm not going to mess with any more upholstery cleaner because I don't want to, clean so much that I ruin the fabric in here. So I'm just going to let it do what it needs to do. I'm going to go back to the baking soda in the cup and zip it up and leave it alone for like another week. I'm just like really I'm just really giddy about it because I want to start carrying this bag like ASAP. So it's like, hurry up. And then the last thing is the zipper was really tough, which they mentioned in the description. And when I got the bag, they weren't kidding. And I think it's because this bag has been bent, stored that way. Because when I first got the bag, when I took the stuffing out that they stuffed the bag in when they shipped it, the bag actually was like this, leaned to one side. And you can tell it's bent here. I don't know if you can see that. And then it's bent on that side. And I was like, that's probably why the zipper is like it is. So when I straightened up the bag, stuffed it out, now that I'm really working with this bag is really softening up, I tried some coconut oil. I saw this as a remedy for a stubborn zipper and I was scared to use it. So I just had very little on a cotton swab, and while this was zipped up, I just followed the trail on the zipper, all the way around, and it did so much better. So I didn't want to like pour it on there and I ruin everything and have to get a new zipper. I was just really careful with it, and I'll probably use it again because it's still a little stiff, but not like it was. I mean, it was like, to do it. So it's a lot better. So I'll probably use this again in the near future, but for now, I am just trying to get this aired out like I want, and then this is not going away. So if anyone has any suggestions about what I could do with this watermark, let me know, because it's ugly. That's the ugliest part of the bag. I mean, there's watermarks all over the bottom of the vachetta, but it's not that bad. And this right there, that's so ugly. And I don't want to keep using the magic eraser. I don't want to ruin it. I don't know if it's because what looks like it might be sealing or coating there is the reason why I really can't like really fully get to it, because something is protecting it. And I hope that it's not protecting, because if they did, they just sealed in the watermark. So if anyone has any recommendations what I could do with that, I would like to give that a try. And I hope that some of these things helped you out as well. And if you can offer, something else I could do for the zipper, for example, or what I can do about the interior, let me know. So thanks for joining me, and subscribe to my channel, and we will talk again in the near future. Bye.